When a lady leaves an abusive relationship or a marriage, it's always the woman who maybe, as we say, vumilia, ndoa ni kuvumilia. It's not. It's after you've been beaten to death is when the same society will say, oh, I wish she left.
She could have left.
Yeah, she could have left. So they should just accept us, support, and not be judgmental. I've said 80% or 90%, it's not by choice. We had to. For the sake of our mental health, for the sake of our babies, we had to leave. We don't want to raise them in such environments. So they just let us be. If you have nothing important or helpful to tell a single parent, you just keep it to yourself. Just keep it to yourself.
All right. As you get to encounter these ladies, and I want to believe that you have, these ones that would come to you and tell you, you know what, I am here and I would be willing to just have my own kid and that's it. In your conversations with them, even as you perhaps try to tell them to think otherwise, do you sit down to first of all listen to some of the reasons as to why they have decided to get into this delicate space? Because it is delicate, just that maybe someone does not get to envision that at that particular point.
Yes, before we get to the deep conversation, there's always an aspect of exploration. Let's first explore. And in this case, let's not be biased and talk about ladies only, but let's talk about even the men.
The men, yes.
Okay? So we get to sit. Let's talk about it. Because you know, when you're sitting with somebody who doesn't judge you, you're able to listen. You're able to talk, and me, because I am not emotionally vested in your story, I'll be able to listen with a more open mind and with a more non-judgmental kind of space.
Yeah.
So you get to listen, and when you listen to them, you find that themselves, they also have issues within. You know, say a couple in a relationship,
right.
I'm trying to protect myself, you're trying to protect yourself. You know, so everybody is like, it's a push and pull. There's no concrete conversation. It's more of a push and pull. Yeah. So when it comes to a more push and pull, somebody wants to always be on top of the other. But I always tell people in using this analogy, the spaces within our hands are supposed to be complementary and not a competition. See, when it's like this, it's competition. Who wants to be on top? Who wants to be below? Because nobody in their right mind would want to always be sat on, to want always to be, the listening and or not being heard or not being, not being given an opportunity to express themselves. So you listen to them, then you get to understand that sometimes it's you who has an issue that needs to be dealt with. So you find that when you deal with the issue that you're inwardly or psychologically dealing with, you find that it's something that can change. So yes, I've seen ladies heal their marriages. I've seen men come back to themselves and realize the wound or the problem or the traumatic response they're dealing with, and then they heal their marriage. And when at the point that it's not possible, then they say, it's a done deal. Like, we can't stay together, but let's take care of the child. So I always tell people that in the event that it gets to the point that you people want to separate here. Leave the children alone first. Separate here. Then once you've separated, then come back to the ground and talk to the children in the language they understand. Because again, as she mentioned, and apart from the ones that we talked about earlier, those that say, I just want to be a mother, you just give me a kid and stay out of the picture, that's okay. But in this other case, no one signs up to bring up a child alone. So for men who sometimes find themselves in this space, could be men with women who are also either traumatized or just having their are always on their survival modes, let me call it so, or they are women, or no, they are men who are oppressed by their mothers. And so women tend to be more of a threat to them. They see women and they see their mothers in their women. to women, they see men, in the case that they got married to this man, the first question is, what I always ask them, how did you get married to your husband? And most of them will say, when they don't know it, but within our conversation, they come to realize that they made that decision when they were emotionally unstable. So with time, their eyes open. They'll be like, no, this is not what I want.
Yeah.
This is not what I signed up for. This is not the marriage that I envisioned, you know. So when the eyes open even more and the things become more clearer, then they'll be like, no, it's high time I choose myself.
Okay.
So when they choose themselves, then we land with a single parent, we land with a single man. But now again, separating and staying together all have advantages and disadvantages.
Right.
Yes.
How you balance is what matters.
Now you
Mary,
balance.
you chose yourself, perhaps, and maybe the well-being of the baby. That might never make sense to her at this stage. Maybe she will come to understand in future. I do not know whether the dad is present in the life of this child, but would you love for it to be the case? In that you say, it's all right, we had our fair share of fightings, but we can now sit on the table and have a conversation. Or even if we cannot sit on the table and have a conversation, if you so wish to see your child, if you so wish to be present in the life of your child, then the grounds are open for you to do that. Which one would you rather? You know, having gone through that experience, that, you know, he keeps off 101% completely, or perhaps he is present in the life of your child, and in the event that you get another man, then what happens?
So I'll take you back to when I was leaving.
Yeah.
So I told him we can put our differences aside and take care of the baby, co-parent, because she needs both of us. We had so much planned for her. It's not fair. It's not fair that I have to raise her alone. I would still love you to have a relationship with her, and that wasn't possible. So maybe now, if he would be willing to have a relationship with her, I have no problem. I have no problem.
Okay.
And let's say if I got someone, it would be still okay if he would be in her life.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't have a problem.
All right.
And there's something she talked about trauma. And if there's one thing I tell people, before you get to a relationship, please ask them how they were brought up. Know their childhood traumas, because I feel I had not worked on myself. I had so much going on before I got into that relationship, and knowing what I know now, having worked on myself, I would never have gotten myself into such a relationship.
Right.
Yeah, I would never. Okay. So it's always good before you decide, oh, Dorothy is the one for me. So we go to a counselor, a therapist.
Open up.
We open
Search
up.
your heart,
we work.
search your soul.
Yes. We know this is what I've struggled with for maybe 20+ years. Am I willing to work on that? If not, please just go.
Just go.
Yeah.
Well, easier said. One would want to say that, Dorothy. So we begin by you saying that it is time that we perhaps embrace these recent cases of, women boldly, approaching men, or vice versa. I think we have agreed that it is vice versa, and I'm glad that we have brought it to that point. Should it be encouraged by the persons that are being approached? Should they agree to some of these agreements, sometimes in exchange for money, sometimes for the sake of just doing it? Sometimes you actually think that man is so rich, so why not? Why not sire a child with them? After all, I am not going to be part of his life, but then again, my child is likely to inherit, and perhaps have a good life in future. Should it be encouraged? Should this other party perhaps question, want to know why? Or they should just swing into action and you say, what? A baby, after all, no problem. Go ahead.
Yeah. I'm smiling because it's kind of a bit tricky. So one thing that we must understand, I'll throw in the blanket of being self-aware. Self-awareness is very, very important for every human being, because it keeps you woke.
Yeah.
Psychologically, spiritually, and even physically. So when you are woke psychologically, then there are things your conscience will always question you. So yes, you'd want to get, you know, I see that rich guy, you know, want to say a kid with him, you know, I just need that kid, and you know, at the back of my mind, human being, we're very corny people. At the back of my mind, there is always something I stand to gain. Either I stand to gain that kid, because I know that kid will gain something from there. One day, one time, I'll step out. I'll say, you know, I also have a kid for this person, you know. A part of inheritance is mine.
Yeah.
You know, because there's a blood. So in everything we do, in everything a human being does, there's always an end result. It might not manifest today, but there's always an end result, what we stand to gain from something. Because again, such people making such utterances or such decisions, one, they're not every riffraff, they're well-informed people. Let's just agree on that. They're not every riffraff.
Yeah.
They're well-informed people. They are people with stature in the society. So when they make such decisions, they know the end result. But I'm praying and I'm hoping that we as a society, we don't get to such a place. Because for once, this child will feel like, you know, I was just a by the way. I wasn't planned for with love. You know, I didn't come here with love. Because I want to remind you, Linda, that 3 months to a child's birth, a child is aware of the environment they're going to. So as a mother, you'd say, or as a father, you'd say that, you know what, just give me the baby and go. You're denying this child. And the questions that will come later, even 30 years, even 40 years, we've seen kids who disown their parents. Ask about why. They'll tell you, you know, you won't understand. From their point, you really won't understand the reason why they had to walk out of their parents, but the society will be there to judge them. Why are you disowning your parents? Why are you doing this? But the same society was not there to not per se condemn, but to instill some awareness in these people's mind. This is not, has nothing to do with surrogacy. It has nothing to do with surrogacy.
Yeah.
Yes. So before you take a decision, the only person you can never lie to is your conscience. Upeane mtoto leo and then give yourself 40 years. You know you sired a child somewhere.
Yeah.
Your conscience will crucify you for that.
Well, interesting. Let's come to you, Mary, and I know, and this many ladies will tell you, that some men will want to get into your heart through the baby, you know, acting like they love the baby, they would want to be part of the baby, they would buy the baby suit, all that. You said we're 3 years old, right?
Yes.
At this very point. Have you introduced this one that you, and not necessarily as your partner, maybe your brother, your dad, you know, a gentleman that you feel like, you know, this one is good. This one would come and speak to the girl, and the girl would just understand that there's warmth, there's security, there's a man in charge. Is there one that you have introduced or you're intending to introduce to them? Is there one that you think, you know, this one would guide my child in the right way?
So far, I haven't introduced her to any man. Do I intend to? Let's see what
How
the
it goes.
future. Yeah.
Let's ask the psychologist that. At what stage then do you get to introduce? Because let's face it, it is happening, it is here.
No, but
So,
before
she comes in.
Before I introduce you, okay, currently I'm still working on myself.
Yeah.
Like, healing is a journey. It's a process, and so far so good.
Does that stop your child's growing journey as well? Because as you're healing, you have to be alert that she also has a growing journey, and therefore, if it is necessary for a man to be there, it doesn't have to be your partner.
No,
but any other
she
man.
has my dad and my brother, and I know they are watching this, but I want to tell them that I'm so blessed to have them.
Right.
They have held my hand since I left. When I left, they were like, we are just happy that you're home alive with no broken legs or hands. everything will be okay.
Yeah.
So, and my baby loves my dad so much.
Oh.
They're always talking. They both love chicken so
Okay.
much.
It runs in the blood, you would say.
So I'm really grateful for my father.
Okay.
Yeah, and
That's
my
great.
mom.
All right, so you're here, you have a child that in whatever capacity you decided that, okay, you're going to take care of them by yourself. At what point do you introduce a man into their space such that they can be guided, you know, and they get that fatherly love or they get that manly guidance that is crucial in their growth?
Wow. So before introducing a man who is a foreigner into your child's life, be it female or male.
Yeah.
One, you and this man must have gone to greater lengths,
Okay.
greater extent. But in the process, rule number one, your children comes first. Because when you don't give them a pedestal of trusting you, you must have trusted this man, but you don't know this man. This man could molest your kids in your absence. The kids will not have the authenticity or even the courage of telling you as a mother because of the relationship you've had with this guy.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So give your children an opportunity to trust you. Build that trust before you bring in a man. Talk to them because they are fully involved. Ask them, Mommy, Junior, Mary, come, we want to have a conversation. Go to a restaurant, make it a formal conversation. What if we had, I brought in a dad? Get their views. That will tell you their receptibility toward this person you're bringing up on board. But before that, they must have known where is their dad. It's very important for women to be very careful for that. If they grew up, say if they were at a tender age when all these things happened and they don't know, with time, get to explain to them that Mommy is getting married to another man. He's going to step in as your dad, but he's not your biological dad. Let them know so that one day they don't get it. Because I've had clients say, Dorothy, I'm 52 years, na ndio najua huyu hakuwagi babangu. I'm starting to look for my dad.
Isn't that a good thing, Dorothy?
It's a pathetic thing. Okay, good and pathetic at the same time.
At the same time.
Because the child will not trust you. You're breaking a relationship you've made all through these years. And what if it's something that you cannot mend again? I've had clients telling me, Dorothy, I asked my mother several times about my dad, but my mom said, hiyo ni kesi achana nayo, mimi usiniulize mambo kama hiyo. This is a girl who wants to get married, who wants the husband
to be introduced to
the father. And then I have even male clients who ask for their dad. Now tell me, a man who has no identity, because they call it identity. A man who has no identity, what worth is instilled in their minds?
Okay.
So when you're bringing up this man into this children's life, I think this is also dependent on the age. When you're bringing them, first of all, you and that man must have gone to greater lengths before you introduce them to your children.
Okay.
And please, ladies, I know we will fall in love and fall out of love every day. It is okay. But please, not every Tom, Dick, and Harry deserves their presence in your children's life. Please.
Well, what a better way, or what a good way, or there's no better way to close it. But before then, I think we have about 5 minutes to wrap it up. And I think I'll take it back to you, Mary, and I know you have answered this, but again, as a reminder to the men, to the ladies that perhaps would, by default just wish to have kids, but not necessarily have, them under a family unit. What would be your advice to them? And the society that would want to criticize again and perhaps look at these ones that have chosen to raise their children on their own, in this certain eyes that perhaps are not so friendly. What would you tell them?
To the society, don't judge them. To anyone that wants to do that, please just do what you want. Because at the end of the day, it's your decision.
Yeah.
It's your decision. Yeah.
All right. There you go. The same questions to you. What would be your advice to give, those who actually might, be judgmental or critical to these ladies or to these men who've decided to raise their children on their own?
I'm answering that. Let me say that also these step-in dads and step-up dads, some turn out to be the best.
True.
And that one we can't dispute. Some of us were raised with step-up dads and step-in dads. They're not step-dads. Step-up dads and step-in dads because they're people who took somebody else's responsibility. And some have come to be the best, have proven to be the best.
Yeah.
And hats off to the men taking care of kids, taking care of responsibilities that are not theirs. Hats off to them. Now, back to the question of people deciding to have it otherwise.
Yeah.
First of all, let us not judge them because you've not walked their shoes.
Right.
Don't talk over shoes you've not felt. Don't talk over pain you've not gone through. So don't judge them. Instead of judging them, sit with them. Not just listening, but listen to their words with deeper meaning. Every word they say have a meaning attached to it. Every feeling they express have a meaning attached to it. So society, don't judge, let them be. Because after all, even if they get these babies, they won't come asking you for diapers.
Yeah.
So please, just mind your business and let others mind their own businesses. But again, I think I would say most ladies, before you take up such a decision, ensure that you're fully self-aware. If you're not so sure if you're self-aware, please seek a professional therapist and get to understand, is it coming from a societal decision point, or is it coming from a traumatic response a point of view, or is it, where is this decision premising from? So that you go through it and one day you're able to stand on top of the KICC and say, this is a decision I chose. Not because this is what I went through.
Right.
Yes.
Well, incredible. Dorothy Omolo, counseling psychologist, the last speaker of the night. Thank you so much for the great insights, as well as Mary Muthoni Gishovi, who is a mother to a beautiful 3-year-old girl. Thank you for sharing your story and as well for the great insights. My name is Linda Alela. It is at this very point that we want to close to the point. We have lots of feedback, but then again, because of time, we might not go through them, but we certainly hope that you have picked something that is of importance, basically what the psychologist says